Hello, Tracy here with another scrapbooking process video that focuses on a pocket page or a project life page. And this is a fairly long one because I am scrapbooking the month of June, which has a lot more than a single spread worth of cards and stories. And so I'm going to struggle a little bit with this, and you're going to see this one video is going to be quite long, and then there will be a couple of follow-ups that I think a total of 3 videos will capture this month over the course of 2 spreads and 2 inserts as well. So, as you can see, I'm starting here with my templates. I do get a lot of questions about these. They're just plain pieces of cardstock that I have drawn out with a ruler and a pencil. I've just drawn out the shape of a Becky Higgins Design A page protector because those are the ones that I use the very most. I use them pretty much every month. It's very, very rare that I would use a different design page, although I do use them sometimes. And as you can see, I have a lot of different photos here. Now, I print my photos up at standard, meaning consistent sizes for my own self, meaning I use the same sizes from month to month, which makes it a lot easier for me to just be familiar with what works on what sizes of cards for some of the designs that I like to use. As you can see, I have those 2 smaller templates on the craft paper. Those are basically half of a Design A page protector, and what I'm doing is I'm taking sets of photos that go together to potentially scrapbook in an insert, because it's becoming clear to me that I have way too many photos here to spread across a single page. And so I'm thinking maybe a page and an insert or 2 is what I'm thinking. So I'm starting by spreading my photos that don't obviously go into an insert or don't have kind of like a little many photos that go with one theme or story, and I am putting those out here. So what this is a combination of one-offs, so just a photo that has either a single story or maybe the photo just tells the whole story, or 1 or 2 photos that go together and tell a story. Here's that page protector. This is what a Design A page protector looks like from Becky Higgins. There are other companies that make this same configuration of pocket page. I think We Are Memory Keepers, maybe even Echo Park, I'm not sure, but this is my favorite design. So as I was mentioning, I tend to print up my photos in a similar size every single month. So I print at 4x6, which you can see several 4x6 out there right now. Those ones are for anything that is either a nice photo that I want to have be the dominant on the page, either aesthetically pretty or nice, or just like a good photo that includes lots of good details, or photos that if I printed it smaller, I'd lose some of those details, and so I kind of need to print it big. So that's my main size. I'm using the Summer Vibes kit here today. So instead of using a specific Project Life kit or Project Life cards, I'm going to try to use this as an opportunity to use up some of my Summer Vibes kit. As you can see, I've got a ton of leftovers here, and I have scrapbooked a lot of pages with this kit already. So this was a pretty massive kit. And so I'm going to take quite a chunk out of it by scrapping my Project Life for this month out of this kit. So I'm just going through and picking out anything that kind of I know might go along with some of the stories I have to tell. I know I have some sweets to document, and there are a few cards on this cut apart page that I really like. And so I'm just kind of keeping that in mind. These are some full pages of like full uncut 12 by 12 that I still have left over, believe it or not. And so I'm pulling those out. I'll also pull out a piece of cardstock, and I'm just going to chunk those down into 4x6 and 3x4 sizes. In fact, I'm pretty sure I just chunk it into 4x6 at first, and then I'll cut those in half as I need them as I go. So I start just with a bunch of 4x6, and if it's too small, I'll cut it into a 3x4. So back to my discussion of those photos. So 4x6, I print if it's big enough or nice enough to print in 4x6. Then the other size that I print at, it would be 3x4. So that would be any vertically oriented photo that follows the same rules for my 4x6. So if it's big enough or nice enough, I will and horizontal, I'll print it at 4x6. If it's big enough and nice enough, or important enough, I will print it, and it's vertical, I'll print it at 3x4. That leaves me with other photos that aren't quite nice enough, or maybe they're not important enough to have front and center. Those include screenshots, so any kind of screen cap of a social media post, I will usually print up at 1.8 by 4. On my printer, that just prints it the right size so that I don't have to cut anything off. And then smaller horizontal photos, I will print at 2x3, and smaller vertical photos, I typically don't print. So, but I would print them at 2x3, but just in the vertical orientation. So I hope that explains how I print off my photos. I do receive a lot of questions about that. I know that some of you might have heard that information before because it hasn't really changed over the years, but as I gather new viewers as time goes by, sometimes it's nice to just kind of go over those things again. And I'm telling you that because these are the strategies that work for me, but you might have a different way of deciding how to print your sizes of photos. If you do, I'd love to hear from you. Leave it in a comment below, because I think we all learn from each other when we share information like that. So please let me know what you do for choosing your photos. So as you can see, my first step is laying out the photos. Then I chunked up a bunch of this paper, and now I have the chunks in 4x6 and 3x4 sizes. So I'm just going back and filling in any of my spaces with chunks of paper here. And it looks like I didn't cut down quite enough of this page. This is a cardstock that came in the cardstock add-on. And so I think it's called Patina, and it's by Basil. And so I'm thinking I will use that. There'll be some flip pockets here because I have a couple of situations where I have more photos and I'd like to kind of double up in a pocket, in which case I'll do a flippity flap, as I sometimes call them. Any flippity flaps that show up on the left page, I use Snap Simple Stories photo flips, and any flippity flaps that show up on the right side of the page, I will usually make my own tent flip up insert card, which I make by cutting down a piece of cardstock, or see here, I cut that into 6x8. And then I scored it and made a flip out of it. So that's what I'm talking about when I say a tent flip up is one of those. And so the one flap just kind of slides right into the pocket, and the other flap remains out, and you can just flip it up to see. Now, in this case, I accidentally already cut a 4x6. I don't know what I was thinking. So now I'm going to recut a 6x8 piece of paper here, and then I'm going to score it. And my trimmer has both a scoring and a cutting blade, so that's why I do that. Sorry about the camera being out of focus there. And now I have my flips ready. So that's basically like the main structure of the page is decided at this point. So now is where I get into the actual process of what I would consider, the scrapbooking actually begins here. And so I have this little, I guess, infographic that captures the map of Nova Scotia during the wildfires, and I'd like to include that, but I'm also thinking I'd like to do a title card. I don't always do a title card, but lately, meaning in the past year or so, I've been doing more title cards than I used to. I went through a phase where I really didn't do any of them, and you don't need them. But now that I'm monthly scrapping, I like to just kind of have a title card that labels the month. Now the problem is that all of June isn't going to fit in this month. So my title is actually going to say early June. I was doing weeks for a while there, but I'm not going to mark the weeks this particular time. So I went into my category of stamps that I call time. It includes calendars, days, times, now and then, anything referring or themed around time or the passage of time or dates, I keep in that category. Now I'm looking through my letter stamps because I'm thinking I might want to do some stamping of some of the title here, maybe for the word early. And I did grab that 6x8 stamp set that has those large months on them. That is called Highline by Paper Person or Kelly Perky. I really love that stamp set, and I store it in a separate place, so sometimes I forget about it because it's the larger size, so it doesn't fit with my other stamps. So I'm going to stamp the word July, and I'm going to use this Chamel main character energy paper, which came in the kit. Basically everything here came in the kit, but I'm going into my stash here to grab a label because I was pretty sure I didn't have a blank label in this kit. So I'm just looking at the labels that I have in these little photo album books. This is where I store a lot of my 4x6 sized stickers. So I found this one. I think it's by I forget, by Gossamer Blue. And I'm going to stamp June on that. And now I'm looking for some letter stickers because I'm thinking I might want to put early in letter stickers. And then it occurred to me, wait a minute, there's the perfect size letter sticker right here in the Summer Vibes kit. So I'm going to use this. This is a Puffy Alpha sticker from Pink Fresh Studio. It came in the add-on for the Summer Vibes kit, and I really adore it. And when I chose it to go into the Summer Vibes add-on, I was actually thinking this would be really great for folks who do Project Life with their kits. I don't know if there are a whole lot of people who do Project Life with their 12x12 kits, but let me know. Do you do that? I'd love to know. I know a lot of people use card kits, like Project Life or Pocket Page kits that are specifically designed for that. But I'm really loving DIYing my Project Life these days without using cards. I'll still dip into my cards sometimes. I have a pretty big stash of cards because I used to subscribe to some of the Pocket Page kit clubs. So as you can see, that stamped really, really nicely. I'm going to clean my stamp here with my stamp chamois from Stampin' Up. And I am just going to put that stamp away now. And next I need to put the letter stickers that are going to spell out early. I'm just going to put those going perpendicular to the word June. I'm going to pick some pink ones here. I think that that'll look really nice with that Chamel background paper that I'm using for the main part of this card. And I'm just going to spell out the word early. And this sticker set has a bunch of different shades of pinks and reds here. And so I'm just choosing all the same shade in this case because I happen to have enough letters to do that, but it's fine. It also looks really great when you vary the letters, the shading of the letters, for almost like a mix and match look. And that sticker set is amazing because all of the stickers on one side are all pinks and reds, and then the other side are all yellows, greens, and blues. So you've got all of your color, like your cools and your warms, and everything is covered in one sticker set. Playing around with the idea of putting this someplace other than center, but I'm going to end up going with center. I'm using some foam adhesive here to pop this up. I don't use a ton of foam adhesive in my Project Life because I do like it to lay pretty flat because my albums can get pretty full. However, this year I'm not documenting weekly, so I think I have a little bit more of like real estate thickness wise to be able to put a little bit more dimension than usual in my Project Life album. Now, the shadow that was cast by just popping that up was not quite enough separation between the label and the background. So I just ran my marker. It's a thick brush tip marker that's black. It's a Pitt pen. And I just ran that around almost like underneath, but still sticking out behind the label. Added a little puffy sticker there just to balance it out a little bit. And then I decided it needs a little something else to give it a bit more structure. And so I decided to mat it. That's a really great way. When you look at a card and it just doesn't look quite finished, try matting it. It's a really great way to finish off a page. It would have looked fine not matted too, but I just like this look. I was going to do a dashed line to look like stitches, and then I realized I don't have the patience to do that right now, so I decided to just do my regular little doodly outlining look. So next we're going to move on to the card to the pocket right next to the title card. And for this one, I'm going to use one of those Snap Simple Stories photo flips. So I have this photo. This was not taken by myself. This is a local photographer who has been taking breathtaking photos of the fire and the aftermath of the wildfires that happened in my community. And they were stunning and still are. And now he's taking lots of photos of the regrowth, which is really, you know, inspiring and beautiful and whatnot. So his name is Sean Lowe, and he has a Facebook group. So Sean Lowe with an E at the end of Lowe. And it's Sean, ShaunLowe. And I love his photography. And I am going to actually stamp a word in the center of this. I'm just talking about how my items were kind of spreading, my supplies were spreading across my desk and taking over. So one of my viewers had a comment about that. So here I am making a bit of a mistake. So I just kind of touched that ink pad lightly with my finger, and it seemed like it wasn't very inky. But then when I went to re-ink it, as you can see, this ink pad is very hesitant to accept my extra ink, and I think it was kind of already full enough. So I'm going to spend a bit of time coaxing this ink into the foam pad, but I don't think I needed to actually do this. So I'm just going to be patient because I don't want to waste all of that ink. It's, re-inkers, they're not all that inexpensive, right? So I just wanted to make sure that I got as much of that into the pad as I could before I wiped off the excess. So now that ink pad is super duper juicy, which is, that's nice. I find that this ink sometimes it does need to be re-inked a bit more often than the others because it's a pigment type of ink. And so that does tend to dry out a lot faster than the dye inks. My dye ink pads rarely ever need to be re-inked, even the ones that I use a whole lot. So I'm not centering this in the center of the photo. I'm actually making it so that it's more on the thicker part of the woods, because as you can see, the tree line kind of trails off there and becomes shorter at the edge. So I'm just going to position it over here to the side. And I inked that up, and I did use my Misty tool to position that just in case I needed to re-ink it, because this ink is a little bit fussier to work with than a dye ink. And because it's a block letter and the letters are kind of filled in with the ink, it's easy to get it not quite stamped properly. So I like to use my Misty in these circumstances, as opposed to freehand inking and stamping. So that stamp set that says languishing, somebody who was on I was live streaming with my patrons at the time. Somebody said, I can't believe you have a stamp that says languishing, but this is the Cringe set from Paper Person. And I don't know if it's still available in her shop, but I'm pretty sure that it came with a kit, a pocket page kit. So I'm going to take advantage of the lines on this paper and use this card that I cut down from the Summer Vibes kit to do my journaling. My journaling says, although by this point we were fairly certain our home was safe and intact, words cannot express how awful it felt to know so many of our neighbors had lost everything. 105 houses were completely destroyed and many more were damaged. Luckily, no human lives were lost, although tragically some pets were lost. We were in a constant state of bewilderment as we tried to make sense of this unprecedented event. We made the most of our evacuation time in Truro and bonded as a family. So that is what I wrote, and I do most of my journaling with a Sharpie pen, which is different than a Sharpie marker. So a Sharpie marker is a slick surface writer, and if you write on porous paper with it, it will tend to feather and bleed a little bit, whereas the pen is not a slick surface writer, so it will smudge if you were to try to write it on acetate or on a shiny sticker, but it works really well on porous, like just regular paper. It also works really well, by the way, on photos, and you will see me marking on photos in this spread, or at least maybe not this spread, but on the next one. It works really, really well on photos. And yeah, so it's a good marker to have because it's very easy to get. I just pick them up in 3 packs on Amazon, and they're pretty inexpensive as opposed to some of the fancier specialty markers that you can get. I find that this one works fine. So I'm going to just slip this into the photo flip, and this photo flip will end up being taped to the edge because it has adhesive on it. So it'll be stuck to the edge of my page protector right where the holes are. So I will have to use a hole punch to come in and repunch the hole where the sticker part of that photo flip ends up going. I think you'll see that at the end. I can't remember if I filmed that or not, but I meant to, so we'll see. We'll see. So this is a photo of the big tractor jackhammer that was out behind our hotel room, our motel room, when we were staying in Truro. And I'm putting this on a 4x6 card by accident. You might notice that I don't have a 4x6 slot here. I have 2 3x4 slots, but I don't know what I was thinking. Anyhow, I put vacay in there with the idea that I could actually cross it out with the X stamp set that comes in my Nope stamp set, which is available in our shop. It's called Nope, and it's under stamps. And it just has some kind of everyday, not super negative, but just kind of like more realistic sentiments for your project life or journaling or scrapbook pages. So I specifically put this cross out shape on this stamp set because I wanted to be able to cross out some of these, best day ever kinds of sentiments and not necessarily even say worst day ever, but, maybe it was just a day. And, best day ever seems like a bit of an overstatement. So I like to have some of these X's on hand, and I was always kind of rooting through my stash for it. So I thought I'd put it on this stamp set so I'd know where it was and could use it anytime. So I just kind of crossed out the word vacay and put, like vacay vibes, kind of like not, as we would say in the 80s or the 90s, whenever we were saying not after things. Because we had this motel room, and you'd open the window curtains and see this beautiful pool, and it was covered up, and we thought, oh, maybe they'll uncover the pool. And one day, lo and behold, they started to uncover the pool, and we thought, oh, maybe we'll go get bathing suits and do some swimming. And then they brought in the jackhammer and proceeded to tear up the pool. And it was like kind of like we were kind of trying to pretend that maybe we're on a little bit of a vacation instead of being evacuated, but it was just hard to pretend that with this awful jackhammer noise all day long, every day. I was trying to actually work from the hotel room, and that was not pleasant. But anyhow, maybe it got me out of work mode and made me just kind of do some more fun things instead. So then I have the official government map that they released that showed the evacuation area versus the area that was on alert. It was a very large evacuation area. I think there were 12,000 people, 12,000 homes displaced. So that would be a lot of people, right? All those people looking for places to stay. It was tough getting a hotel room. So we actually had to leave town and go to a place about an hour away in order to get a hotel room that would take us and our cats. So I have this photo of me at a local park. We were walking distance to Victoria Park, which is, oh my goodness, it's one of our favorite parks. We usually have to drive an hour to go there. So we thought we should definitely enjoy the park while we're here within walking distance. So I took a photo of myself on the swing, and I really liked my shoes that I got. We evacuated without really thinking about what we were wearing, and I just grabbed my Bluntstones, which are pretty heavy boots to be wearing in a heat wave. So I went to Winners and grabbed a little pair of sneakers. Actually, the girls found them for me, and they have rainbows on them, and I love, love, love them. It's been a long time since I've had a little pair of canvas sneakers, so I was enjoying looking at them as I was on the swing, so I grabbed a picture of myself there, and I am just writing out evacuation with, again, those cute little Pink Fresh Studio letter stickers, which are absolutely perfect for project life. They'd be great in a traveler's notebook as well. So I'm writing out evacuation, And this is Project Life, so it's okay. It doesn't have to be all even and lined up and stuff. I'm fussing with it a little bit, but I'm trying not to fuss too much with it. And then I am writing out the word shoes in these other Pink Fresh Studio alpha stickers that came in the main kit. So the little ones came in the embellishment add-on, and the big ones came in the main kit. I really love the way that this looks. It's perfect. And I mean, people have been commenting on those shoes, and I say, oh, yeah, these are my evacuation shoes. And then I quickly tell the little story. And so I thought that documenting this would be a fun thing to have in my project life. I'm just journaling around my legs there. I do this a lot, especially in my project life, but also in my scrapbook pages. I just love putting my journaling so it follows a line, either in a pattern or in the photo. It said, I left the house in my blunts, not great for a heat wave. And I just left it at that. I don't, for me personally, I don't do a ton of over journaling. Like I don't, if the photo tells the story, or if you can deduce the story by just looking at it, I tend to not write a whole lot about it. So I'm trying to do, I want this piece of cardstock to have a bit of a hexagon pattern on it. And this is a stencil that is available. It's actually available as an add-on for the Outdoorsy kit. So this stencil was actually not available back when I was using it, but it is available now. It's on our website. Although it might be sold out, we only had a few of them. So I haven't checked the stock lately. As you can see, once I dried that white mist, that was Heidi Swapp white color shine, it really disappeared. Like it just absorbed so much into the cardstock that it didn't really stay. So I thought that wasn't quite what the look that I was looking for. I do want something subtle because I want to be able to put both a title and some journaling on this. So I don't want a hugely dark pattern here, but I am looking for something tone on tone, which is why I went with the white, but it just wasn't enough. So what I did here was I used Mr. Huey. This is good old fashioned water cooler, which is one of the original colors of Mr. Huey, I believe. I took a little bit of a break there, and I cut out the footage for it, but I actually was gone for a very long time, and this completely dried with the stencil on it, which gives you a different look than if you take it off and then have it dry, because as it dries quicker where there's no stencil, so the liquid just kind of evaporates and you're left with your beautiful color behind. But in all of the lines where the stencil is, it evaporates and dries at a much slower rate. So it probably more of it soaks into the paper than evaporates out of the paper, which leaves you with this kind of different look. Where part of it is kind of like a classic stencil, and part of it looks almost like the area where the stencil was is actually darker as opposed to being lighter than the rest of it. I think it gives a really cool variegated look, and I like it a lot. In fact, I like it so much that I'm going to make a mental note to do that every once in a while when I'm stenciling. Now I do want to stamp a title right on this card. And so I grabbed, this is my all-time favorite letter stamp. It's Hazel by Ellie's Studio. It comes in a couple of different sizes, and I have the smaller size here. I just love a good typewriter font. This one is all caps. I really wish that it came in lowercase letters as well, but you can't have everything that you want, I guess, in life. So I'm stamping out birthday cake number 1. And when you're stamping a title on your page, for me, I like it to just have a hand stamped look, right? Like if I wanted a lined up perfect look, I would not choose stamping as my media. I would use letter stickers instead because they're easier to fuss with and move around and get them just right. And if they're not just right, you can just pick it up and move it and make it just right. But with stamps, it's sort of like a one-off. You stamp it and it's there. So just be ready to embrace a little bit of the randomness that comes with stamping your title. I think it gives a really nice variation to your page to, like just have some titles that are nice and straight and other titles that are more whimsical with a bit of a bouncing baseline and so on. So I think that looks pretty cool. I'm going to leave it like that and just add a few lines for some journaling. My journaling says, and I'm going to use my journaling stencil. We have one coming to the shop. I don't know what the holdup is, but it'll get here someday and I'll let you know when it gets here. And yeah, so I'm just using my journaling template. Those are hard to find these days, but keep an eye out because I'm bringing you one, I promise. It says Annabelle and Sophie decorated this cake. We decorated Ken's house to celebrate Liv's 18th birthday, the best we could. So Scott's uncle was kind and generous to allow us to have his house. For a while, we were at the motel for the first, I think, 4 days or 5 days. And then he gave us his house the last day because he was going away for the weekend. And we were welcome to stay there for the rest of the weekend and maybe even into the next week. But it turns out we were allowed to go home this day. So we didn't even sleep there. It was so nice and comfortable compared to the motel room that we were in with the jackhammer and everything. Oh, my daughter just gave me a chocolate bar, so I'm going to be snacking on that. I am going to decorate around this. It just felt like it needed a little something, and I happen to have the outdoorsy stamp set here. This is the stamp set that we designed to go along with our outdoorsy scrapbooking kit. And it has a little bee and a sun and all kinds of things. These are little shapes that are designed to go inside of the hexagons, those hand-drawn hexes. And but I'm just using them free here, like just free as a bird, no containment. And I was going to use a combination of puffy stickers and stamps, but then I just really liked the look of the stamps. So I put the bee, a little cluster of flowers, and the sun. And I stamped them in various shades of Stampin' Up! Ink, although because it's on a turquoise background, it kind of changes the color of those stamps, of those inks a little bit, but I still really like the look. So now this last pocket on this side is going to be a flippity flap as well because I have 2 photos and I really want to include both of the photos because they're an important part of the story, and I also have some journaling to say about it. So I'm going to use a flippity flap here again, just like I did in the top one. Although keep an eye out because at the very end, when I put this into the pockets, I'm going to change up that languishing one because I'm going to realize something that you might have already realized, but I'll save that for the end. So here I am just writing out my journaling on this pink cardstock that came in the kit. It says we were midway through our sad little birthday party when our phones all went off with another emergency alert, this time telling us we could go home. We quickly packed everything into the car, including dollar store banners and balloons still blown up, and started towards home in our 2 cars. So I'm journaling that on this piece of cardstock, and then I'm going to cut it into strips, and then I'm going to put the strips on the patterned paper 4x6 card that I had picked out to go on the back of this card. Journaling strips is a journaling strategy that I often overlook or forget about in my scrapbooking and in my project life. I think I might even be more likely to think about it when I'm scrapbooking than when I'm doing project life, but it is a really good way to get some journaling on a patterned paper that might be too dark or too busy to otherwise hold your journaling, and to not have to kind of like look in your stash to find exactly the right size and shape of label. So it's something to always just kind of keep in mind. I like to trim my journaling strips down as tightly as I can. And so you just see me in here just going through them and trimming them up a little bit, both in the width. I like them to be different widths and also or different lengths and different widths from each other so that I get a little bit of variation. And I want it to kind of be able to see plenty of the background paper as well. I'm going to use my Zig 2-way glue pen. This one is the chisel tip. I have this in a couple of different tips. And we do sell them in our shop. So if you subscribe to our kit club or buy our kits every month, you can always just drop one of these into your shopping cart with your order. And if you're running out of these or if you've never tried them. So what I really like about this glue is that it's very easy to control it and to apply it to thinner surfaces like this. And it is a two-way glue, which means that it's temporary. If you let it kind of gum up in the air, it just kind of gets tacky and stays a temporary adhesive. But if you put it on while it's still wet and blue in color, then it dries to a really firm, solid adhesion. And I've never had a problem. I've used this glue for years and years and years, and I've never had anything pull up or let go in my albums and in my projects. So it's very reliable. I'm outlining around the outside edges of it just to give it a little bit more definition. It already has quite a bit of definition because those pink, very, very pale pink strips, stand out against the dark blue background. But I wanted to give it even more, and now I'm also going over it with a very fine point pen. This is my .005 pen. This one is a Prismacolor one. It's for kind of adding lining details to your colored pencils works or your artwork. And it's very, very fine. It almost looks as thin as a piece of thread that's set out on your paper. So I really like it for that look, the thread-like look. So here we have the first page pretty much done. And I did notice eventually that those two 4x6, that 4x6 card needed to be cut into two pieces. I think I was talking about something else when I did it, but I did cut it in half, and I'm just going to leave it like that. So in two different pockets, but it has the same pattern paper background. So it's easy to see that those two pockets go together. So I'm moving on to page 2 of this spread. And I'm just going to start with this tent fold insert right here. And this is at the very top of the spread. I'm going to cut down that main character energy paper, that pink pattern paper. It came in the Summer Vibes kit. I cut it down so that it would be matted on the pink cardstock tent that I had already made earlier in this process. And now, rather than matting it, I'm just going to outline it with my brush tip marker from Faber-Castell. It's a Pitt pen, and I like it because it adds a nice bold outline. It's my go-to marker for bolder outlining. So I am going to put a little bit of a title right beside this, and I'm thinking about potentially using those Pink Fresh Studio mini letter stickers, but I thought I would just check and see if these larger letters, if I have the right letters to spell out what I want to say here. What I basically want to call this is birthday cake number 2, because the other card on the other side said birthday cake number 1. And I'm emphasizing the fact that we had 2 birthday celebrations within a few hours of each other because our lives drastically changed between when we had birthday cake number 1 and when we had birthday cake number 2. In birthday cake number 2, we were home in our house and we knew that it was safe and sound. We could see it and live in it with our own eyes. And that's a whole big thing when you've been displaced for a while. So as you can see, I did more or less have the right numbers, the right letters. I just needed to, compromise a little bit to have a lowercase b and an uppercase E. But I really like the look that gives as far as just, a little bit of variety. It gives it a bit of a whimsical, casual look when you're mixing and matching your upper and lowercase letters in a way that isn't necessarily grammatically correct, but it still adds that little bit of whimsy. It looks kind of like pieced together in an arts and craftsy kind of way. And of course, I love me some arts and crafts, so this is the look that I like. So... B-Day cake number 2. So basically what happened was we were celebrating her birthday, and in the middle of it, or kind of towards the end of it, our phone alarms went off and we were told that we could go home. So we had the plans all ready to have a second birthday cake celebration because her aunt and uncle were coming to visit us in our little displaced place that we were staying. And they were going to bring their own birthday cake that Jen had made that week. And what we did was we basically called that off and said, don't come to Truro, come to our place instead. We're heading home. We're allowed to go back home. And so they just kind of met us at our house instead of meeting us in Truro. So, Birthday cake number 2 definitely had a very different vibe to it. I mean, obviously, it's a very different cake. The first one was a store-bought cake, and this is a handcrafted, painstakingly, lovingly made. Beautiful, beautiful. It's a set of Starbucks cups that look like takeout drinks, and she molded the plastic cups are made out of molded chocolate, and she had the logos and the little order forms stuck to the cups. It was impressive, and she borrowed Liv's Starbucks apron in order to serve it to her, and had some takeout cup trays and everything, just to kind of go along with the look. It was pretty amazing. We were really, really impressed. They were so yummy and so gorgeous. So what happened here was I realized that I was missing a few of the photos. I was missing a lot of photos. I had many more pictures of the Starbucks cups, the cake, and I, for whatever reason, just missed printing them. So I went back and reprinted those so that I had more demonstrations of just how awesome this cake was. So I printed those. Again, my favorite small size is 2x3, so that's what these are. It's a no-brainer, right? Like if I have to print something up quickly, I like that I already know what size to print it. I don't have to think and measure and figure it all out. And so that's what I did with these. And as you can see, that kind of captures a lot more of the moment of the party and the cake itself. So now on that space beside the photo that's by itself there on the pink cardstock background, that's just part of the structure of the flip card. I want to spell out, yes, these are cakes. I'm just checking to see what colors I have, and it becomes clear I'm going to have to mix and match between the two color schemes that I have here. So I'm just going to place these in a way that I'm making sure that there's not two similar colors right beside each other. So just kind of have a look at what the options are, and then pre-plan if there's any letters that I'm running out of. I try to place those in a way like the E's, for example. I've only got so many of those. So I want to make sure that I'm not leaving myself so that I'm having to put two same colors together. But there's so many options with this sticker set that really it's very unlikely to happen that way. So I'm just spelling out, yes, these are cakes. And again, I'm going for that kind of mix and match look. They don't have to be lined up perfectly. And I really like how it looks. I also really like this mixed color scheme where they're all kind of nice, soft, pastel-y, creamy almost colors, because that kind of fits with the idea of a birthday party and cake in general. Even though these particular cakes were all browns and neutral colors, I think it still really fits. I'm going to use that same template to draw out my lines using my Sharpie pen. And I'm just saying, Jen made them this week. The cups were molded chocolate and they were delish. And now that card is good as done. The pocket right beside it has that 4x6 photo, and I'm just going to leave it. It just shows the graduation photo on the lawn. My daughter graduated this year, and our neighborhood, it seems like it's a bit of a trend around here to get these signs that you put for congratulating your grad. I don't know if they do it everywhere. I've never really seen it until we moved here, so I don't know if that's something that's just grown in popularity lately, or if it's just a local thing, or I don't know. But it was really fun to have her picture out there. I'm looking through my stamps here because I'm looking for a phrase. I really love making phrases go along the horizon of my photo. I love it in a way that, like, I can't even tell you how happy it makes me when I have a phrase going along the horizon of my photo. It's one of those things that makes me so happy that I feel like I just need to do it every time that there is a horizon. So here I am, and I couldn't find, I actually prefer my phrase to be a little bit smaller scale than this. This one's a bit big, but the one that I found, I went into my relationship category and I found these two stamps from an Ali Edwards stamp set that I can kind of put together. I thought about cutting off The bottom part of one of them is a stacked message. And so what I did was I just masked it off with a piece of washi, and then I took off the washi to stamp it. So one of them says, "So thankful for these." And then the other one said, "Good friends, good times." And I only stamped good friends. And I really like how that looks. And, I love this so much that I'm actually, one of my ideas for a future stamp set for the Kit Club is to have a stamp set called Landscape Sentiments that are actually designed to go along the horizon of various landscape photos, or, they're flexible enough that you could make them go around a tree or something. Because I just love that look so much. So I'm going to design a set of stamps that do just that. I just have to think up all the right phrases. I have a few already in mind. So that tent card was pretty easy to make, right? I just kind of had to add the photo to the bottom, add the photo to the front, and then the inside. For the inside, I'm going to put this card here, but I want to do something with this card. I do really love the pattern as it is. It's a paper person card. It's one of the few actual, like Project Life supplies that I'm using on this that are not a DIY item from my Summer Vibes kit. But I really like this card, and I love those designs. It's kind of got a bit of maybe like a Nordic design. And I'm picking out all of the navy blue confetti pieces, and they come in 3 different sizes. So I'm just going to place them in various places in this pattern to just accentuate the card and give it a little bit of texture and added interest to this card. It's a photo of Annabelle and Bailey playing guitar and singing at this party that, it's not really party, but a little get together that one of the parents basically invited Scott and I and Annabelle over to have a meal with them, because they're from Brazil and wanted to share some of their food and culture and have us meet their family. They had family members in town from Brazil. So it was a really lovely, lovely evening. They have a beautiful property on the water, and it was just gorgeous and fun and relaxed. And we got to, eat wonderful, amazing Brazilian food and meet some really great people. So at first, that card was supposed to go in the pocket right above this flippity flap, but I'm thinking I'm actually going to put it inside of the flip, and then I'll put something else in the pocket where that was supposed to go. So I'm just going to stick that down there to the top of the flap, and I lost one of my embellishments here. I don't think I glued it down properly. And then I just want to put another thing over here on the side. And I didn't want to just put lines and journaling. I wanted it to be something else, like add a bit of extra dimension and some more interest. So this is one of the cut aparts from the Pink Fresh Studio paper that was in the kit that I cut up a little bit, some of those little cut aparts. And this one says, "Love this," and it has a little house on it or a building. I'm just writing, "Bianca's family invited us over for Brazilian food and to meet their relatives. Their oceanfront home is a true sanctuary." It's just so friendly and warm and inviting, and they're just such friendly, warm, inviting, and fun people. Just so relaxed, even though we had really only just met them. We felt like so welcome in their home. They were really lovely hosts. So thank you to them for such a wonderful day. Definitely memorable. So I just had to trim those down a little bit just to keep the card so that it flipped and flapped quite well. And sometimes just cutting down some of the bulk helps that hinge work a little bit better. And then I added a piece of washi tape just for design, just to make it look like that cut apart was stuck in there. Now I have this photo of the 3 girls. Both Annabelle and Liv went to the prom. The international students at our school are always invited to prom, even if they're not graduating. So Annabelle, even though she was in grade 11, she did go to prom and had her beautiful prom gown on. And then Sophie was just dressed up for pictures. She didn't go to the prom. In our school, usually only graduating kids go to prom, as well as international students. So I'm spelling prom out this way, and I'm happy to have the letters because I've really used these letter stickers in almost every project I've made with this kit. And so I'm so happy to have enough to spell out some more things. So prom is right here, and then I just felt like I needed something else. So I just took this washi tape and ran it down that other strip, and I think that looks great. We're good as done. Now, this is a photo of Jen and Adam and Scott and I in our matching t-shirts. So we form a movie club. It's just the four of us. It's a very exclusive club where we watch movies every month, and then we get together at a local brewery and we talk about our movies, the movies that we watched. And so I've documented Movie Club many times throughout my project life, but it's something that I really love. Even though it gets a little bit repetitive, it's always kind of similar photos in a similar place. I just really love it. And so I just want to mark that, yeah, we're still doing that. And so that's all that I wanted to say about it, really. Didn't have all that much to say. This picture is kind of cute because we're all wearing our t-shirts. Jen designed those t-shirts. And I'm just putting glasses because it has to do with viewing. I'm putting fun there, and I just spelled out Movie Club with the pink stickers. I'll add this little one here. It's a citrus piece just to kind of balance it out. And I do like citrusy beers. I don't drink beer. I don't really drink much alcohol at all, but I do. If I were drinking beer, I love citrus beer, so that would be what I would drink, a Radler or something like that if I were drinking beer. I can't breathe when I drink beer. It makes me very stuffed up and congested and unhappy, so it's just not worth it. So I added a couple of more pieces of that confetti. I just picked the pink ones to use on that particular card. And now I have this photo of me at work. And this is just an atmosphere photo. I like to take these sometimes specifically for Project Life. And so this was maybe the first day that we came back after the evacuation. We didn't go back to the office right away. I can't remember why. Or maybe we did. I can't remember. But anyhow, this is a photo that I took of our first day back to the office after the evacuation. And I'm just spelling out back to life, and I'm mixing and matching the letter stickers again to have that kind of fun, whimsical look. And it also takes advantage of the fact that at this point I've used these stickers so much that I don't really have enough to make a long title that's all one color. And I liked putting the phrase right there on the laptop because that white space on the screen provided a really nice place to make my title be pretty readable, and it didn't interfere in the atmosphere. Like, the whole purpose of that photo is that I'm kind of capturing the atmosphere of my office. So that was what I did. This is just a snapshot of Liv and Noah out on our back deck. There's no real story to go with it. It's just a snapshot. So I'm just putting this Pink Fresh Studio sticker that says Hello Sunshine and a little orange on it just because I just liked how it looked. Now on this one, I'm just putting the month, number 6 there. There were these stickers from Pink Fresh Studio that said like 6, 7, 8 for June, July, August. And so I'm just putting the June sticker on there. So we're almost done. Bear with me. We do have one more card to do. I was going to put that camping card in there as a filler card, but I mean, we didn't go camping. Liv did go camping recently, so I'm almost thinking I should maybe hang on to that and put it in my project life for the week when Liv did go camping. So I'm going to take that out of there. I don't usually do that. I don't like hanging on to things for another time because I rarely ever think of it and find it again. But in this case, I will. And so I thought, let's just do crafting. There's always crafting in my life. It's always a good way to add a filler card. It's about crafting. So this one says, craft each day keeps the crazy away. And I thought that was kind of fun. I don't typically use the word crazy all that often, but I think it's okay to use it in this little sticker format. And I thought that the first outline that I did around the outside edges of that shape was just not significant enough, so I went back with that same Faber-Castell Pitt pen with the brush tip that I use for my bolder outlining, and that just gave it that pop on the page that I really liked. So I thought about switching those two up, but I decided not to. I thought my hesitance to keeping that birthday cake number 2 up there is that it kind of is a little bit too symmetrical with the other card that has the same pattern paper on it. Just holding the month of May, I'm just going to skip over that. The last layout that you saw me do was April, and so there's May that's missing, and now this is June. So I'll go back and capture May, probably, maybe not, but probably. And so I wanted to leave the space there. And yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so my thought behind it being okay that those two are sort of symmetrical there on the 2 pages is that there's going to be an insert. I know there's going to be an insert because I already put the stuff aside for the insert. So there'll be an insert there. And when you first turn the page, it's not going to kind of like jump out at you that, oh, there's these 2 same cards beside each other or on the same line. And here I'm realizing, wait a second, this is a top pocket. So it's a great opportunity to use a tent folding insert instead of a photo flip. I really prefer these tent folding inserts over the photo flips. This is just a piece of 6x8 paper from my stash, probably a Kelly Perky one. I like them because they're cheaper, so you have to pay money for those photo flips, and this is just stuff from my stash, so it's a lot easier on my pocketbook. And also, I just find it's a better texture. Like, I just like being able to see some things not behind a piece of plastic. It is kind of like adds to the texture and variety of my spreads. So I really like how that looks. This one, however, I do have to use a photo flip for. So I'm just going to attach it right there. And then, as you can see, it covers one of the holes. So I just left this part in so that you could see the process. This is a 1/4 inch hole punch, which happens to be the same size as the hole punches and page protectors. So I really only use this for this. This is the reason I bought this hole punch, was to use it for my page protectors. And now, as you can see, here is this page. And so there was one more thing that I wanted to do. So I did turn my camera back on because that photo flip with us in the car, I just wanted, sometimes my photo flips, when you're flipping through, you don't really notice that there's a flip there. So especially the ones in the plastic because they lay so flat. So I just wanted to add a tab. I use my Stampin' Up! Rounded tab punch, which is my favorite punch. If you watch me very often, you know that I love that one. And I'm just going to put that there, and I'm just going to write on it, "Going home." And we have the 2 photos, it's like car selfies of Scott and Liv in one car and me and Annabelle and Sophie in the other car. And I have a similar pair of photos that will go on this spread, the one from May, because at the very end of May, that's when we left on evacuation. So I just want to have that there for a little bit of a throwback to the card that hasn't happened yet. So here are all the places that you can find me on social media. If you watched all this long, bravo to you. Thank you for watching. You're hardcore because this has been a long one. Thank you also to my Patreon supporters. And here are the photos of this one. Now, my Patreon supporters do help make this channel happen, so a big thanks to them, although they were only on the screen for just a second this time. I'm sorry about that. They are a huge part of what helps this channel function, so thank you to them ever so much. It really does make my life easier. I can subscribe to all the things that I need to subscribe to as far as services and things that make running a YouTube channel a lot easier, so thanks. And thanks to you as well for watching. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss anything. I do primarily 12x12 layouts with the project life mixed in as I do them. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a really great scrappy week.